It doesn't matter what plays you call if you don't have the personnel to run them. Lowe's Red Vest Associates can help you execute whatever home improvement project you've drawn up. On top of that, with the Lowe's app on in-store mode, it's easy to call your own number and find anything yourself. Or if you're really under pressure, order online before 2 p.m. and get it at home same day. Lowe's knows home improvement. Lowe's is an official partner of the NFL, same day valid on eligible in-stock items in select zip codes only, subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase, exclusion, and more terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same day delivery for details.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant Prime.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello, everybody, and it's Monday. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. I am John Schmeelk, joined by Paul Dottino. The phone number for you is 201-939-4513. Hashtag Giants Chat on Twitter. If you want to get in touch with us that way, you certainly can. Are we again? Dom, what's going on here? There we go. We good now? We're okay? All right. We're getting weird in the headsets here. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
but we'll have to fight through it. We're taking your phone calls, 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Hashtag Giants Chat. If you want to get us that way, you certainly can. Giants, of course, with a demoralizing, ugly 28-3 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles at MetLife Stadium yesterday. So just really bad game, guys. All around. Few people played well in this game. You want to talk about maybe the pass coverage and the pass rush? That would be maybe the lone bright spot. But you can't give up 4 plays of 38 or more yards if you're the defense. Down to down, there was a lot to like. But again, those 4 big plays led to 4 touchdowns. You lose the football game. And guys, look, here's the bottom line on the offensive side of the ball, okay? It's very simple. The Giants in this game had 119 yards of total offense and averaged 2 yards per play. I mean, it's really that simple. The Giants' longest play in this game was 14 yards. They broke the 50-yard line 3 times in this game.
Right.
You cannot win football games when you do that. They had, oh my gosh, I didn't even look at this yesterday. They had 1 drive go more than 21 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is, it's an unwinnable game from an offensive perspective. Unwinnable. And it's bad. It's very bad all around.
I mean, really, when you get down to it, about the only thing that worked out was the kicker made his only field goal attempt. The punter had a pretty good day punting, had a net of over 42 yards. And other than that, and right? I mean, but that's just the way it is. The pass rush was pretty good. Okay, pass rush was pretty good. And special teams held their own. Mm-hmm. Other than that, this was really, really one of those typical Giants-Eagles games that we've seen for most of the last decade where the Eagles controlled the entire narrative.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we thought this season was looking better early on was they were holding their own up front on both sides of the ball, right?
Didn't happen yesterday.
And they were winning in the trenches. And again, the pass rush did occur yesterday, but, they didn't stop the run.
No.
Now, again, down to down, it was okay. Saquon Barkley, you look at the totals and you're like, oh man, it's ridiculous. 10 yards per carry, 17 carries, 176 yards.
Was it 120 came on like 3 runs?
I didn't do that quick math. I was gonna do it right now. So Saquon Barkley in this game had runs of 55 yards. He had a run of 41 yards. That's 96. Then another run of 38 yards. So 134 of those 176 yards came on 3 carries. Right. So the other, just do my quick math, that's 14 rushes for 40 yards on the rest of his runs. I mean, that's good down to down, But you make a couple of mistakes on those big runs, and we can go through those individual runs if you want. I watched it this morning, whether it's, Azeez Ojulari dipping inside and Deonte Banks following A.J. Brown on what he thought was a slant route instead of playing the edge on Saquon Barkley's pitch, whether it's, I don't know if it was Patrick Johnson or Micah McFadden that messed up on the read option play that Saquon Barkley got up the middle. I think Johnson was supposed to dive and get the running back. He missed it because McFadden started to go with Hurts outside. But again, somebody messed that up. Then on the other play, the Giants' defensive line, without Dexter Lawrence in the game, just got blown off the ball, and there was a huge hole in the middle of the defensive line. And then, of course, you got, A.J. Brown's going to beat guys one-on-one deep. It's going to happen. He's maybe the best in the league at doing that.
Outstanding.
They got Nick McLeod one-on-one on that one particular
great throw
on that
too.
one particular play. It was a very good throw. And look, that's going to happen.
Yep.
He's that type of player. If that happens once to you in a game against the Eagles with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, you're doing okay. Now, granted, they just threw the ball 14 times. So it's not like there were a lot of opportunities to throw it deep either. But overall, just, mistakes on defense. And then on offense, it was Josh Azudu early. He really did struggle right off the bat. And then the rest of the line, Paul, they did not play particularly well either in this game. There was pressure from up and down that line. Every one of those guys had a bad moment or two or three in this game where they gave up pressure. And they just couldn't sit back there. And there were a couple plays where, if Jones could have held the ball for a couple more seconds, guys were breaking out open down the field, but by the time their routes were, being run, he was getting chased out of the pocket or he was getting sacked.
For this line to play as well pass pro-wise and then suddenly basically fall apart like they did yesterday, it's inexplicable.
Do you want a stat to make you sad?
Why not?
Do you know how many times the Eagles rushed more than 4 players in that game yesterday?
Yeah, I could tell you. I don't want to. You know what? I don't want to count it up. Just fine. I don't have to add up.
It was 0.
Oh no, I don't think it was.
No, the plays they blitzed Nakobe Dean, they dropped the defensive lineman into coverage.
Let's see.
Paul, I counted it on the
right.
tape. And Next Gen Stats had the same number that I did.
All right.
They rushed more than 4 guys 0 times. So Nakobe Dean did blitz. They ran 8 simulated pressures where they brought a linebacker, but they dropped the defensive lineman into coverage. So it looked like a blitz, but they actually only brought 4 because it wasn't
a zone blitz.
Right. So it was one of those simulated blitzes where you bring the linebacker and you drop the defensive lineman.
Memory serves correctly.
So they never actually had more than 4 guys rushing. They had a 21% sack rate on those plays, which was the highest in any single game in the NFL this year.
How does that line, which has done such a solid job in pass pro for a month, suddenly forget? And it's not just all on the one substitution at left tackle. It's not. I'm sorry.
Early it was.
Yeah, but
early it was.
Not for 4 quarters it wasn't.
It wasn't for 4 quarters, no.
I'm at a loss for words about that. I have absolutely no explanation.
I mean, Bryce Huff had done nothing the whole year, and he looked like last year's Bryce Huff in this game.
And consider that to this point, the Eagles only had 11 sacks. They have not been a very heavy pressure team or a very heavy sack team. It's like, look, somebody said this to me the other day, and then it was repeated again to me this morning. It seems like the Giants are falling into this trap almost on a weekly basis now, where they're playing an opponent. The opponent has a significant Achilles heel or something that they can't do, and they suddenly discover it against the Giants out of nowhere. All of a sudden, the Eagles' pass rush looked like it did the last 6 years. Out of nowhere. All of a sudden, boom! Now they're a great pass rush team.
Yeah, and
just
look,
like that.
And this is a game with the way the Eagles played. And I looked at the analytics on this and what the sites say, and then this is just for me watching the game as well. The Eagles did not have heavy boxes in this game. All right? And then I looked at it. They played nickel or dime on 88% of the snaps. 88%. Paul, they played man-to-man defense 5 times all game. They were in soft zone coverages throughout this entire game. They either played quarters or cover 6 on 35 passing snaps. That means 4 guys. I mean, cover 6 for the fans that don't know. It's quarters on one side, so you have a deep corner, deep safety, and then cover 2 on the other side, so you have the shallow corner and the safety playing over the top. So it's like two guys have the quarter of the field on the left, and then the safety has the right side of the field, the whole half on the right. But the bottom line is that means you have two safeties deep pre-snap.
Yes.
And when teams are going to play you that way, Daniel Jones was, and we'll get to him in a second too, folks. He's not blameless either. The Eagles were dropping, so you combine having the small personnel with not bringing more than 4 guys on any play. They have 7 guys in coverage every play, or 8 when they only decide to rush 3, which wasn't very often. But you have a bunch of guys in coverage. You're playing deep zone, and Jones is trying to stick it in between a bunch of guys on these little stick-stop routes in the middle of these zones, and you couldn't get anything going yards after catch.
No.
There was no yards after the catch in this game, and it just didn't work. You have to be able to run the ball consistently against those types of looks, and the Giants were not able to do that until late in the game after the Eagles had a 21-3 lead.
Yeah, look, there was not an early commitment to the run game. I think that's clear. The Giants wanted to move the ball through the air.
I mean, at the half, they had, 3 rushing attempts from the running backs?
There was no commitment. Now, that was a strategic decision, it seems to me. I don't think that's something that developed during the course
Brian
of the
Dable was
half.
asked that postgame, and he said, look, did you think that you were going to... He said, yeah, we thought we could pass early and move the ball. And by the way, I know people said, the Eagles rushed... If you look at the numbers, the Eagles' pass defense was actually slightly worse than their rush defense. Neither one was all that good. You could have picked your poison and attacked them any way you wanted to. But the Giants, how they chose to attack them, for whatever reason, did not work.
Right. So that obviously was the game plan. Now, you could argue, if you wish, that sometime early in the game, as the Giants had trouble, let me just see this in the first quarter. They had a 3-and-out. They had a 3-and-out. Second quarter, even their first drive of the second quarter, they only got 1 first down. And then their next drive, they didn't give it a first down at all. If you wanted to argue that at some point early in the game, during the middle of that first half, that maybe they should have changed up and said, okay, you know what? I know we came in to be a pass-heavy team today, but maybe we need to try to do something else. Now, the issue there...
Especially with the lack of protection. Try to protect your left tackle a little bit and the rest of your guys.
Go heavy. Go with a heavy formation and maybe try to ram it. Now,
you can even spread them out and try to run it. I don't care. Whichever one you want to do.
Either way. You could argue that if you'd like. Now, the other issue is that because the Giants came in with a pass-heavy game plan and they got sacked on 5 of their first 6 possessions in the game.
It's amazing.
They were miles behind the sticks for all of those possessions.
Well, a lot of those sacks did come on 3rd down. So they weren't behind the sticks early in those possessions, in fairness.
Understood. But all that did was increase the momentum of what Philadelphia was doing defensively.
Just to give the fans an idea of how the pass rush really messed this whole game up. First drive, 3rd and 3. Daniel Jones airmails a ball to Wando Robinson. Should have been a better throw, but he also did him to Kobe Dean in his face, and that smashed him because it was an unblocked blitzer on that first 3rd and 3.
Oh, he got hit hard on that one.
Next possession, 3rd and 6. Azudu got beat for a sack before the guys, and this is my notes from my play-by-play, guys. I have them all here. I just rewatched the game. Before the guys are even out of their breaks, with 9:15 mark in the first quarter, 3rd and 6. Before the guys even out of their breaks on a 3rd and 6, Azudu gets beat by Josh Sweat for a sack. Next possession, you have it on a 3rd and 3. Again, this time it's Nolan Smith. He defeated Azudu. Eagles played cover 1. No one really got open before he got there. Nolan Smith with the sack. Minus 11-yard loss. Next possession. You get to a 1st and 10, and this is after you gained a first down on a short pass to Neighbors to the left. Daniel Jones, they run play action. They keep a tight end in. They have 6 guys to block 4, and John Michael Schmitz gets beat by Nakobe Dean on a blitz. And Daniel Jones, a second after his back foot hits to turn around, doesn't have a chance on. There were some plays where they had coverage sacks where Jones had a little bit of time to look. He didn't get the ball out, and guys weren't open as they should have been. 100%. Not that one. You're in 2nd and 20. Then you're in 3rd and 17, and obviously nothing's going to go right from there. Next possession, 3rd and 11. This is after you throw a 4-yard pass. You have an eligible man downfield to take 11-yard completion off the board, so there's a penalty that's messing you up. Then on a 3rd and 11, Daniel Jones gets sacked for minus 7 yards because Illuminor gets beat by Bryce Huff.
Right off the edge.
So that's how it looked. And then, by the way, the first play of the next drive, Daniel Jones got sacked again for -4 yards. That time, Van Roten ended up getting beat by Carter, and Azudu also got pushed back into the backfield. And then Runyon and Smiths double-team Milton Williams, and they got split. So 3 different players were close to the quarterback on that particular play, and that put him in to a 2nd and 14. So that's how the beginning of this game went.
It was
eventually, even if you do run the ball well, Paul, you're probably going to have to be able to allow your quarterback to get a throw off on a 3rd down, which is what they were unable to do.
This was an avalanche, an absolute avalanche of ugly proportions against this offense all day yesterday. What bothers me the most, John, is that to me, it was a massive step back.
Oh, absolutely.
From what we saw the previous month, when we could sit here and tell you.
Paul, it looked like week 1 against the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
And that's what's so puzzling about it, because for a month, it was drop passes. It was an inopportune penalty.
2 more drops in this game, by the way.
Yes. Only 2, by the way. Only 2.
But they were 2 pretty important plays.
Yeah, they were. So, we could look at circumstances. Obviously, kicker, missing field goals, not having a kicker. There were circumstances, to me, that were more critical to those losses. That's not what happened yesterday. Yesterday, the Giants played a lot of very bad football. That's what happened yesterday. This was a massive step back in terms of football.
And Brian Dable said in the postgame, he goes, look, everyone, coaches, players, everyone takes a hit for a performance like this. And that's absolutely true. 28-3.
You have to.
There is no one that's blameless in this.
You have to spread it. You have to spread it around.
It doesn't matter what plays you call if you don't have the personnel to run them. Lowe's Red Vest Associates can help you execute whatever home improvement project you've drawn up. On top of that, with the Lowe's app on in-store mode, it's easy to call your own number and find anything yourself. Or if you're really under pressure, order online before 2 p.m. and get it at home same day. Lowe's knows home improvement. Lowe's is an official partner of the NFL, same day valid on eligible in-stock items in select zip codes only, subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase, exclusion, and more terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same day delivery for details.
And, here's the really rough part. Even after this first half went as miserably as it did, and John just cited to you some of the more critical problems that they faced, they get the ball into the end zone at the end of the first half. Folks, it's a 14-7 game. They'd only be down by 1 score going into halftime. As bad as it was, they were outplayed, but they could have been at 14-7. And maybe, just maybe, you reset. But they're forced to kick the field goal because Theo Johnson committed a penalty, which got caught.
Which was a penalty, by the way.
I'm not saying it wasn't.
No, I know you're not.
So he gets caught. Now the field goal makes the Eagles feel good because they kept you off the board from getting 7. You only got 3. They stuck 4 points back in their pocket. So now you're still down 2 scores instead of only 1 going into halftime. And then as John said on the post game yesterday, and he's right about this part, as much as I'd like to look at that Johnson play as the turning point, Giants hold Philly 3 and out to start the third quarter. But then Philly does the same thing to the Giants, and Philly responds from their own 23-yard line, 10 plays, 77 yards, and oh, by the way, there's one of those big plays you talked about in that drive. 38 yards, Barkley, boom, right down the field.
Every single Eagle touchdown was set up by one of those 38-plus yard plays. Because big plays score touchdowns, and touchdowns win games. The Giants have not had to play more than 15 yards for 2 straight weeks. They have 1 touchdown in 12 quarters. I'm sorry, I'm a little behind. 16 quarters of home football games this year. 1 touchdown. And again, last 2 weeks, they don't have a play longer than 15 yards. And you mentioned the drops. That Wan'Dale Robinson drop on the 3rd and 3. Now, I looked at on the tape again. Slay might have got his hand in there. But still, Robinson can hold on to that football. It hit him first. He can hold on to it.
I put it as a drop.
And Slay, I think it looked like Slay got his hand around there. But again, Robinson can hold on to that
Gotta
ball.
get it.
I'm sure he would say he should hold on to that ball.
Gotta get it.
Then the other drop was the pass over the middle of Slayton.
Yep.
Daniel Jones could have put it in a better spot. It was poor ball location. It was behind him. But Jones was also flushed to his left on that play. So he's rolling left because of pressure, has to throw it back to his right as Slayton goes to the right. So that it's tough to time it up, but it could have been a better throw. Bottom line, though, Slayton slips, still hits him in his hands, and he can't come down with the catch.
That's a second down play, though, when the score was only 7-0. So not as costly as the Robinson one.
Right, but does that help you extend the drive?
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? That's a first down.
No argument for me. Look, I am the biggest anti-dropsy guy on the planet.
And again, I'm not saying those 2 drops are the reasons they lost the game. And that's the thing, folks. There's not one thing you could point at here. You can't say there's one reason they lost this game. There's about 6 of them. We went through all of them, or at least most of them. It's just...
In short, it was bad football. That's it.
It was a poorly played football game.
Bad football game. And that's distressing because they hadn't played a game of that ilk in a month. That's what really is distressing about it.
Well, I'll argue that offensively they were poor against the Bengals. They were poor offensively against the Bengals.
I thought this was worse.
Maybe, I think it was probably more of a team failure this week, I guess, because of the protection issues, I guess. But look, there was plenty.
I mean, 8 sacks is a huge blemish.
There was also plenty. There was plenty not to like last week against the Bengals, though. Too. Let's be honest.
I agree, and you know, I don't want to start a firestorm here, but I also thought that Jones actually played poorer against Cincinnati than he did yesterday.
No, he did. I thought he did too.
Jones actually got a little bit better yesterday.
Well, no. I think the difference is that Jones had more help against the Bengals, and he did worse with more help.
Yes,
he had less help this week and was just as unproductive.
Right.
I think is the way I would.
That's
look at
fair.
It. But again, sometimes you need your quarterback to elevate everybody else, and that's not happening either. So,
and that's the scary part as far as he's concerned, because as we've said, it won't matter what the circumstances are. There are going to have to be times now where he needs to rise above the fray, no matter what is happening around him.
And look, our conversation about that was when we thought that perhaps we weren't sure about this, that when there were better circumstances around him, that he would be able to do that more often. And we haven't seen that often enough.
Not so far. Not so far.
And we're through 7 games, and you're 2-5, 0-3 in the division.
Yeah, it's getting to be rough right now. There's no doubt.
All right, 201-939-4513. You're listening to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Guys, the rapid reaction on the Giants Huddle podcast is up. It's Madeline O'Hara, recorded right after the game yesterday. Sean was pretty pumped up on the TV postgame, from my understanding, so that could be a good listen. I have not heard it. So go check that out on the Giants Huddle podcast, giants.com/podcast, or search for Giants Huddle on your favorite podcast platform. It is now relabeled and rebranded the Giants Podcast Network feed. So go check that out. You'll see Hangout pop up on there, draft season, a couple other episodes, but that's where you'll get all your Huddle episodes like you're used to getting. All right, 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Let's get after it. You guys, for the next 40 minutes, we're your sounding boards. Ken and Trenton will lead us off. Hi, Ken.
Hey, fellas. How's it going?
Could be better, Ken.
Hi.
How are you?
I've had better Mondays, but at least I'm a Yankee fan, so I got that to look at.
So are we, Ken.
There you go.
Right? I mean, it's just what I don't understand. I have a question. What I don't understand is what the difference between home and away is. I mean, really, and after 4 p.m., because apparently Daniel Jones is 1-14 in prime time.
Well, Ken,
According to
no, he's been bad in prime time, but yesterday's game was at 1 o'clock, and that didn't help any either. So, no, look, Ken, I don't have an explanation. Look, we've talked to Carl about this. I've talked to Howard about this. Jonathan Casillas talked about it on the post-game show to the former players to see if they might have some insight we don't. And quite frankly, no one does. I have no idea what's going on. I have no clue. I don't have an explanation. I don't have an answer. I wish I could help you. I don't.
There's nothing.
I wish you could. I wish you could. I mean, all right. Now on a touchdown to A.J. Brown, he pushed off, no flag. But apparently we're not allowed to push off, right?
I didn't see much of a push off on that, to be honest with you, Ken. I'm happy to look at it again, but I did not notice that, to be totally honest.
It wasn't
with you.
egregious enough that I was offended by it, to be honest with you. And really, Nick McLeod actually had pretty good position on the play, to be frank with you. He wasn't roasted.
No, he wasn't roasted. It was a good throw.
It's a heck of a throw.
It was a darn good throw, and I missed those throws from our quarterback.
To a receiver.
And Ken, you're right, by the way. That's the difference, right? The Eagles took one shot. The Eagles took one shot down the field in this game. That was the only play they took a shot down the field, and they hit it, and it turned into a touchdown. So connecting on those types of plays,
it wasn't underthrown. It was where it needed to be.
Correct.
Exactly.
Absolutely right.
Helps when you got a primo receiver on the other end, though. Too.
Absolutely.
He's not dropping that pass.
Correct.
There's no way he's dropping that pass.
Yeah. And as far as the sacks go, I do remember us hitting the quarterback an awful lot too.
Giants had 5 sacks.
No, Ken.
Giants had 5 sacks.
The Giants' pass rush was great. The Eagles dropped back to pass 21 times. The Giants had like a 25% sack rate, which is ridiculous. The problem is that they ran the ball so well. They only Jalen Hurts had 14 pass attempts.
Yeah, we only attempted to run the ball once in the first 2 drives. As far as I remember, I mean, I kept screaming at the TV, "Run it," because I had Tracy on my fantasy team. But but anyway, I mean, it's just, and yesterday it hurt us more, and it hurts the fans more because Saquon Barkley had more yards than our entire offense. That's why it hurts so much, and that's why everybody's going to call up today and rip it. But let's be honest, guys. This has been what it's looked like for the past 3 years.
No, 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years.
Well, I mean, that first year, a lot of. It looked good. Yeah, we did win it. We won a playoff game. It looked good. I love Dave. I don't even have a problem with Brian Dable. But, I mean, at this point, if Belichick wants to come here, I want him. And that's all I got, guys. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you, Ken. Look, I know we're going to start getting these call guys. Let me just say, they're not making any of those decisions now. And if you want to call and ask about those decisions after the season, you can. But we're not going to speculate on what might happen after this season when there's another 10 games to go. But again, you want to call and talk about them, give us your opinion on that. You're more than free to. That's fine. Mm-hmm. That's just where we're going to stand on this. And we've been over the reasons why many, many times.
That's it.
201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. And by the way, folks, we're still working off that one line, so if you're trying to call in, you can't get through, it's busy or whatever, just keep trying. We will get to you when the line clears. It just did. You'll hear the ring in the background even when you're listening, and that means we're still working on Verizon to try to get that issue fixed with our normal phone system. So once we do, again, just keep calling in, and we will get to your calls ASAP. Andrew's in Virginia. He's up next. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, John. Paul.
Hi.
I know it's been a rough 24 hours. It's been a rough several years, though, too, you know?
It has been, Andrew.
As much as I appreciate Jones, coming back from multiple injuries, doing the best that he can. To me, yesterday felt like it's officially over, right? He missed wide open guys multiple times.
Twice.
Malik Neighbors is pointing out who's open on a route.
And by the way, he did throw it to him on the route, and Slayton should have caught that pass.
So your comment about rolling left, he didn't have anyone around him.
No. He was flushed out of the pocket because of inside pressure on that play. I have my notes on it.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah. I think you're thinking about a different play, to be honest.
I'm trying to see what drive. That was in the second quarter, Paul, you said?
Yeah, I have it here.
So let's see. I'm looking for the incomplete pass to Slayton.
With about 8 minutes left in the second quarter. You see it? 2nd and 11?
2nd and 11. Okay, so I got Van Roten pushed back into Daniel's lap, forced him to roll left, and throw to Slayton coming back right over the middle.
I mean, it's a pass that's got to be caught.
Neck there, though.
But here's the thing.
But it's got to be well thrown.
No, guys, I think both of you are right. That pass should be better thrown. The protection should be better. And Slayton should catch the ball. I think all three of those things are right on the same play. I think all three are fair points.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. Too many things are going wrong.
The other thing that I want to point out is exactly what we're talking about with 6- and 7-man boxes. Fans don't need a PhD in football to see that. And I don't know why they're not checking to a run in the moment. We can all see with my son's high school football, there's a light box, we should run it. And we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole all the time with this team this year. I don't know. I don't know what has gone so awry. I called last week about the prime time versus home versus away thing last week. That is getting more traction. There is something fundamentally off when you don't have a home field advantage. You play so poorly at home on the fundamental stuff, and it's not just Jones. It is the drops. It is the poor line play. It's almost like people are giving up. They're not mentally wanting to finish the game for whatever reason. But it is there, and it is a systemic issue. And I got to say, man, I am done watching this brand of football. Things have to change. I have now reached that point. And last time I made a call like this, it was about Kenny Galladay. That's how bad this is now. And I'm one of the original BBI, Big Blue
BBK.
Kickoff
That's
Live
okay.
callers, BBK callers from way back in the day.
I know you are, Andrew. I know.
And I don't call in a lot complaining, but this is at that point now where the emergency brake needs to be pulled up.
Andrew,
And
I understand
they
your
gotta figure
frustration.
it out.
Dude. I appreciate the call, man. I totally get your frustration. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to tell you not to feel that way because after the last couple of weeks, you have every right to feel that way. I understand it.
You know, this home field mystery, and I don't have any other word for it except mystery.
Conundrum, perhaps?
Puzzle.
Sure.
Pick the adjective. It boggles the mind because, as we all know, in the NFL, there's always a mantra, take care of your business at home, and it's in all sports. They say take care of your business at home and then split on the road. Well, the only thing that I can say about that is in the NFL, emotions, mentality has a lot to do with physical performance because when guys have to fight through either fatigue or injury or game flow, you have to be able to feed off of your home crowd sometimes to get the extra juice to push through. And people, they talk about that sometimes in other sports, but I think in football, it really should play a big part in what you do.
Yeah, I think the fans have stuck with it, though, the last 2 weeks. I think they've been good.
But that's what puzzles me.
They've been good the last 2 weeks.
What puzzles me is that the defense comes out of the box the last couple of weeks, makes some plays, people are happy about it, and then for some reason, there's no
reciprocation,
no connective spark.
Yeah.
None.
I know.
I don't understand that. I am totally perplexed. And that's what makes that part of this thing, the Giants' performances at home, so incredibly mysterious to me. I can't figure it out for the life of me, John.
No, I know. And guys, look, the quarterback has not played well either. We're not trying to say that he did. I just think on that one play, it is a little bit tough to roll left, throw back to your right. He could have settled his feet probably and made a better throw, and that has to be a better throw. I'm not saying it's not. It has to be a better throw. It does. I get your frustration. No argument. I'm not trying to argue that point. Neither is Paul.
Right.
We totally get that. Fair point, Andrew. No argument. Len in Columbia, Maryland. He's up next. Len, what's going on?
Oh, hey, guys. Listen, I don't know what your definition of roasted is, but Nick got roasted on that pass. Come on. He got beat down the sidelines. I just one-on-one coverage with Nick McLeod it's not going to work. He's got bad knees to start with. I mean, the guy's, he's banged up. And here he is one-on-one with that guy. And he plainly got beat. I didn't, by the way.
No, he got beat.
He
got beat.
By the way, I didn't see a push-off either. I thought that was the negligible part.
He has the tallest frame and the longest length of any of the Giants' corners. So if somebody is going to at least try to defend Brown on that play, he's the most likely candidate.
No, I think Banks is. I think Banks is.
Well, yeah, but Banks was on the other guy at that point.
Well, Flott's got more length.
Flott wasn't in the game at that point.
He was out.
Flott was hurt.
Groin injury.
Yeah.
He was out.
No, I'm not suggesting he should.
I'm saying of who was available on that play.
Oh, of who was available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And in terms of the definition of roasted, I'm sorry, Len, he was not roasted. He was beaten by a terrific receiver.
I think we're talking
a terrific throw.
I think we're talking semantics.
We're talking semantics.
We are. We are.
You know.
We are. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, we are. You guys alluded to the leadership issue. I think that's part of the problem. It's just, it's lacking. You got to both offense, defense. On the field, coaching staff. We're just not. The old thing, you got to hire a leader of men, and you need one on each side of the ball, too.
Len, by the way, I can tell you how Brown got on McLeod on that play, by the way. So on that play, the Giants went on a man-to-man. They're in zone, so they're playing, I believe it was quarters on that play. And A.J. Brown started on the right side of the formation where Banks was and then went in motion all the way to the left. So
sometimes you got to give credit to the offense for making a really good play.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I'm not. I want to say that about the Eagles. Listen, give them credit. They came out, played a tough football game yesterday. They played football yesterday.
Yeah, Len, you know what, though? And I think that's what's frustrating for me. Yes, they played a tough football game, especially up front defensively. They did a nice job.
Oh, my
but
God, yeah.
That wasn't exactly a super efficient offense we were watching for the Philadelphia Eagles all game either. They just had a handful of big plays, and that was it.
Let me make you feel better. Let me make you feel a little bit better, okay? One of the things that I wrote down.
I need it, man.
Okay. Did you know the Philadelphia Eagles were 1 of 13 on third down? Did you know that?
Yeah, but when you get 45 yards at first down,
I get it. But they were 1 of 13. Now, if I said to you going into the game, the Giants will have 5 sacks and hold Philly to 1 of 13 on third down, what would you have said to me?
Well, it looks pretty good. Listen, if you had told me the Eagles were going to punt 8 times yesterday, I'd have said we're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, so it's crazy because this was a real wide spectrum of results for the Giants. They did a few things really well,
the other problem,
they did a lot of
by the
things
way,
very badly.
3 of 3 on fourth down, which was the other part of that too. So go ahead, Len. I'm sorry.
Look, I was feeling good at halftime. The field goal we got on the board, I figured, listen, just get a stop.
And they did.
Get a stop. And they did.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
Drop pass, 3rd and 3.
Oh, my God. Out in 3. I mean, that just killed me because I felt pretty good. All right, leadership. Look. One other point.
Yes.
I'm not indifferent to the play calling, but I want to say it's a player's game. All right, players got to make plays. All right, but look, I think it's time for the. I hope you guys laugh at this. I think it's time for the head coach to have a talk with the offensive coordinator. Something's not right with this, guys. Something is not right. I call it role conflict, and I want to refer to something Collinsworth said. I brought this up about 3 weeks ago, by the way, but Collinsworth said something in that Sunday night game. It wasn't really in reference to anything. It was almost like it was a throwaway line. He said, sometimes the head coach wants to do one thing, and the offensive coordinator wants to do something else.
Yeah, but they're the same guy.
Of course they are. Of course they are. That's why I was hoping I'd make you laugh with it. Yeah,
no,
I mean, it is. I'm just saying. Yeah, I know there are guys. You look around the league, and there are head coaches who act as their own offensive.
There's a lot of them too. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
There's
more on the offensive side than on if you reverse and went to the defensive side.
Yep.
But that doesn't make it where it's good for everybody.
Len, let me see if I can translate what you're saying a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're telling us that you think that Dable, as a head coach and as an OC, that maybe he's fighting himself and maybe making some complex decisions that maybe he's wrestling with, and that maybe he doesn't have a clear head on some of these calls. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Well said, Paul. Thank you.
Now, the only answer I have for you, because we're not on the headsets.
And thank you, Len. Appreciate the call, my friend.
Okay, we're not on the headsets. The only answer I have for you, and this is the system that they're employing, right, is that apparently, Kafka's in on the headset with Dave during the game.
And so is Tierney.
And so is Coach Tierney, the quarterback's coach. We always hear the word collaborative being used by Dable all the time. Coach says that he discusses a lot of stuff with the guys. Now, yes, he is calling the plays. But I would say this. He has great trust in both Kafka and Tierney. And I would think that if he was flip-flopping or wrestling with certain types of plays, his relationship with them is as such that I think that they could tell him hey, coach, I hear what you're saying. Let's try something this, or let's do this, or let's do that. Or maybe even at halftime, say, hey, Brian, I know we were trying to do this going in, but I would think that they could offer him a checks and balances because he has a good relationship with these guys. At least that would be my opinion without being on the headsets. I appreciate your viewpoint, Len, and maybe Coach is wrestling too much with some of his play calls. I don't know the answer to that.
I sense he's very confident in what he's doing, to be honest with you.
I suspect as much, too.
That's my sense. I could be wrong, though. I don't know.
Well, again, we're not on headset. I'm just trying to give some credence to his question.
No, I get it.
That's
look,
all.
it's frustrating when you come out of the game with 119 yards of offense.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, the other problem is the execution of so many things that they have tried has failed miserably.
Right.
Is it any wonder if he's got a headache on the sidelines trying to figure out what to call?
No, look, absolutely. And look, we said they should run the ball more the last couple of weeks. Sure, if you want to say that, I get it. At the same time, last week they averaged under 4 yards per carry. Actually, it was under 3, right? It was 2.7, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't even remember.
And then this week, Singletary and Tracy combined 11 carries for 41 yards. That's under 4 yards a pop.
It has not been, outside of Seattle, a very productive run-blocking line.
And here, look, and guys, we talked about it in this offseason. Paul, what did I say this offense was going to be this year?
Pass to set up the run.
It's going to be a pass-first offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they drafted. They drafted a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. That's the way it was set up. They don't have a bunch of gigantic mauling offensive guards. They have pass-protecting guards.
The guys they signed, we talked about their skill set with every guy that was brought in here.
Illuminor might be the exception. He can do both.
But they were more, as a group, it was more of a pass-blocking line than a run line.
John Michael Schmitz isn't some 320-pound center.
He's an undersized center, which means he's going to have certain matchup issues. It's going to happen. That's all I'm saying.
201-939-4513. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Hey, gentlemen. How are you?
Why do you sound happy, Charlie?
And now he's laughing.
I'm happy for Barkley. I am so glad. I predicted it. Barkley's going to come in here because he's got a heart of a lion, and he's going to play like the guy he is.
Vintage Barkley. He was terrific.
And the thing is, Dable's trying to play. He didn't want to hand off. I mean, Shane didn't want a $40 million quarterback handing off to a $12 million running back. But guess what? You put your eggs in one basket called Daniel Jones, and he cannot give you big plays.
Now, again, I
just
want to stress again, Shane offered him close to an identical contract, not a bigger contract, the offseason prior when Barkley was a year younger.
That was off-season prior. They still could have kept. Look, I'm glad Barkley left. I'm glad he went to a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl,
Charlie,
or at least go deep in the playoffs.
I agree with you, by the way. I think what happened made sense for all parties involved. I think it made sense for Saquon to go to a team that was better equipped to use him in the Eagles. I think it made sense for the Giants with where they are in their building process not to invest big money in a running back. I think it made sense for everybody, to be honest with you.
But the problem is nobody can make explosive plays because now you're leaving it up to Daniel Jones to do that. Barkley made explosive plays. We don't have anybody. They thought they could bring in a wide receiver, Neighbors, and they could make explosive plays. But you need someone to throw him the ball to make those explosive plays. They made the biggest mistake in the history of the Giants football team by ever signing Jones to that contract. Now they're living with it, and I'll tell you why they can't play at home. It's because the lights at home and the pressure is too much for Daniel Jones to live with. That's why he plays better on the road. He doesn't have the pressure of having to play well at home and getting booed. You remember when he got booed at Minnesota? They booed him from the first series on. And even people waited for him after the game, which was disgusting, but they did. So he cannot play at home because he is not very good.
Charlie, it's still, I'm sorry, Charlie, it boggles my mind how you want to put all of the rotten apples at his feet. If you watch the
He's
game
the
yesterday,
quarterback, Paul.
it does not
He's the
matter.
quarterback.
If you watch this game yesterday, you would know that the Philadelphia Eagles manhandled the Giants throughout the course of the day.
Now, Charlie,
and that's not. It's not. But it's not 11 on one. Charlie,
But what did Hurts
it's not
do? He
11
made
players
big
on one.
plays.
Well, Hurts made one big play. He made
a
one. He
couple
made
of-
one big play,
big
Charlie.
play,
He made one big play.
and Barkley made the others because he's an explosive player.
Sure.
So look, Daniel Jones can't make a big play if his life depended on it.
This-
and he is not the quarterback.
And Charlie,
you know that, Paul, in your heart.
Charlie, in fairness,
Get rid of him. Move on.
in fairness to you this year, and thank you for the call, Daniel Jones has not made enough big plays down the field for this team to score points.
That's fine. Again, it was not 11 against 1.
No, and I'm not saying it was.
No,
I'm not saying it was.
He just needs to understand
I
that.
understand.
There are 11 players on the field at one time for your team.
Yes, correct.
It's not just one.
No, but the quarterback has a bigger role in it than all other 10 guys.
I'm not disputing that. But it is a spider web. Remember, every
No, I
strand
totally
is
get that.
connected to multiple
Hey, look,
strands.
and Paul, we said at the start of the show, I thought Jones was worse against Cincinnati last week than he was this week.
I said it too.
The overall offensive performance was worse this week because
Correct.
everyone else, the front
Correct.
specifically, did not play as well.
Yes, indeed.
But look, guys, everyone can take heat on this. So we get it. We aren't arguing with you, and we understand your frustration. We are, as you can tell by your tones, we are frustrated as well.
It's rough for everybody. If anyone actually believes that this is fun to go through, you're sadly mistaken because this is painful for everybody, including us.
And ownership, by the way. I can't imagine
my goodness.
what the Mara family was thinking walking out of that building yesterday.
I know how much it hurts them.
I got to imagine they were not pleased.
It doesn't matter what plays you call if you don't have the personnel to run them. Lowe's Red Vest Associates can help you execute whatever home improvement project you've drawn up. On top of that, with the Lowe's app on in-store mode, it's easy to call your own number and find anything yourself. Or if you're really under pressure, order online before 2 p.m. and get it at home same day. Lowe's knows home improvement. Lowe's is an official partner of the NFL, same day valid on eligible in-stock items in select zip codes only, subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase, exclusion, and more terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same day delivery for details.
Let's go to Jay in Phoenix. He's up next. And the Tisch family, by the way. Jay,
Yes.
what's going on?
Hey, guys. I wish I could be more positive. I just can't find it within myself.
Jay, there is nothing much to be positive about after that game. I totally get it.
Jay, just talk about Dexter Lawrence if you like, because that's something that could put a smile on your face.
Leads the NFL with 9 sacks.
Yeah, Dexter is the man. He's incredible, but unfortunately, I think we're wasting his good years. With that being said, you talked earlier about, like, what is it, what's going on. Honestly, I just think that this environment, that Dable and Shane have created an environment of losing. They are, we talk about tough, smart, dependable. Honestly, it's sloppy, uncompetitive, and embarrassing. I am tired of every week watching games where we create some new embarrassing stat, a first time in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. This has never happened before. We find new ways to lose. Next week, let's say we're going to go into Pittsburgh. Maybe the offense will get it together, but that's when the defense is going to crap the bed. It's getting really old. And I wish I had more positive things to say. I've got nothing. I just, like so many of the fans, I've been around since the early 80s. That's when I was a kid and started watching them. And this team is the team of record for the 100th season, and they're not worthy of it. And we got to stop expecting that it's going to be any different. They bring all our great players in, and they put up embarrassing performances in front of them. They're not worth it. They're not worth the collection, the way it's going. It's just not good enough. And I know that the Tisches and the Maras know that they've got to do something different. Trust me, I was the guy who was so excited about Shane and Dable. And I don't say that they should be fired, but guys, there needs to be some level of accountability. Deonte Banks, two weeks out of 3 weeks, puts forth an effort like that. It's okay if you bench him. I know it will hurt, but you got Adoree Jackson, you got Nick McLeod, and you got Cordell Flott. The three of them can figure it out. It's not good.
No, Jay, look,
nothing else.
we get it. Appreciate the call, man. We understand. And I saw it live yesterday. We mentioned it on the post-game show. I wanted to watch it again today before I really commented on it. But Deonte Banks let up on the play where Jalen Hurts ran to his right and got out of bounds. We did not have him on the post-game show on the air after the game, so I don't know if he talked about it after the game.
I heard secondhand he thought that the quarterback was either going to slide or run out of bounds, and he admitted that maybe he could have gone further. But, look, I said this to John at lunch. The way the league has protected these quarterbacks, we have seen more than one defensive player get gun-shy about making a hit on a quarterback. It's happened many times in this league. I'm not going to excuse what Deonte Banks did. I'm not.
Yeah, but it wasn't so much as bailing on the tackle. It was slowing down and letting him run past you.
It's not good. I'm not going to say it is. But I do know that the mentality of these players has been altered by the way the game is being called. It's an unwanted consequence. And, you know, the one thing about Banks, we know he's a physical player.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that doesn't jive.
No, I get it.
He does like to hit people. He is very handsy. He is a guy who does not shy away from contact. So for him not to all the way follow through on the Hurts scramble doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
Well, the funny thing about watching Banks in this game, like there are snaps in this game, folks, where he does not let A.J. Brown get off the line. He jams him and keeps him in the 5 yards. There was one play where he was trying to Hurts was trying to throw a slant to Brown on the left-hand side, and Banks didn't let him get off the line of scrimmage. And Hurts had to tuck the ball. I think that turned into one of the Giants' sacks in the game. And you watch these plays and you're like, my God, he's dominant. He's killing these wide receivers.
His skill set's terrific.
Then there are other plays, like the run play where they pitched it left to Saquon Barkley, where he goes inside and follows A.J. Brown inexplicably, doesn't realize it's a run play, thinks he's covering A.J. Brown on a slant, and Barkley gets a sideline and runs straight down the field for 55 yards, which sets up a score.
He overplays the receiver because he's trying to be so sticky. And,
right.
he makes a bad decision.
But that's awareness, right? It's little things like that. There are other times where a couple times I thought down the field he's grabbing and holding, and no flags got thrown, but that's still a matter. He's such a talented young player, and you see flashes of brilliance. There just needs to be more consistency down to down where you see those traits turn into really strong play. But my gosh, you see it. I mean, like I'm telling guys, there were plays where he has A.J. Brown locked up on one side of the field, and A.J. Brown can't get more than 5 yards down the field because he's beating him up at the line of scrimmage. It's a thing of beauty.
It says
then there
a lot.
are other plays, you put your hand in your head, and you're like, oh my God, dude, what are you doing?
Well, what happens is a lot of times, especially at that position, when a youngster is thrown in as a rookie and he's an immediate starter and he's asked to be CB1, that's an awful deep part of the pool to be thrown into. And he's still only about a year in because he missed some games last year. He's just a little more than a full season into his career. There's still a level of maturity, experience, knowledge, guile that he still has to obtain and grow into. Again, John, I'll tell you this. I've said it before on the show, and I can't stress this enough because it was the most dramatic turnaround I'd ever seen. When Mark Haynes was drafted here as a first round pick, that first year he was dreadful. And the Giants stuck with him. They put him out there. He played the whole season. He was dreadful.
And we're not saying that Banks has been dreadful.
No.
Right.
Banks as a rookie was miles ahead of Mark Haynes. And what happened? A couple years later, Mark Haynes finds himself in the Pro Bowl because he had to grow into the position. When you're a corner in the NFL, you know, there are very few Sauce Gardners in this league where they come right into the league and they're immediately up to the task.
Or Patrick Surtain Jr. There aren't that many of those guys.
Very few. Very few. Most of these corners have to grow into it. It's not just add water, as Banks likes to say.
Right.
And so my thing on Banks is the skill set's there, the want to is there. He certainly, has a great energy about him. He just needs to grow into the spot. That's it. I'm I won't lose patience on him until many games down the road. And then if we continue to see these things and he does not learn, does not develop, and does not polish things up, then you have to start saying, hey, come on, you're a CB1, you're not playing like it. You're making too many mistakes. I'm not there yet. Not at this point.
Oh, no, I'm not ready to bail or anything. I was just trying to explain to fans when I actually watch play-to-play.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing. Like, it's frustrating because the talent is there.
No question.
It's just a matter of getting applied in play and play out. Coach Marvin's in Delaware. He's up next. Hi, Coach.
How you doing, John and Paul?
What's up?
Hey, so y'all just talking about Banks. Banks is a really good corner. He's right on the man. I just think he's a corner that doesn't play the ball well. He's a man corner. He's a guy that plays the guy's his eyes or heads or the receiver's hands, and that's how he reacts based on those motions of the receiver. He doesn't really play the ball. If he learns to play the ball, I think he'll be an outstanding corner. And to me, learning to play the ball, you have to understand the routes that are being played. Mm-hmm. So if you can understand the routes that are being run, then you can make those plays on the ball. And not too many corners can do that because there are different styles of corners. Surtain, he's just natural. So he has the ability to do those things. He has the speed to run with these guys. So you have to have a lot of different talents to play corner, and some have one, some have two, and some are completed. So it's a difficult position to play. And the best way he plays is playing the guys. He plays the man rather than the ball.
Yeah, and by the way, Coach, coming out, we also said that compared to a guy like Surtain, Banks was more raw. Surtain was more of a polished corner.
Remember, playing in the Big Ten, as he was at Maryland.
Yeah, I guess that is Big Ten now.
Yeah,
right? It's not ACC.
He's not facing. But that's more of a run conference anyway. He's not facing an elite number one wide receiver every week.
Yeah, except when you're playing Ohio State.
Yeah, well, exactly. But so Coach, this is a very steep education for him.
Yeah, and that's a good point because in the SEC, you got some of the most talented wide receivers. You got NFL talent wide receivers in that conference.
Yeah.
So those guys are facing some outstanding receivers, so they have to adjust to whatever environment that they're in. Whatever conference you're playing in, you adjust to that conference, and that's how you play it. But I mean, again, I think he's a good corner. He's always right there, and that's all I can ask of him, that he be right there, just not blown away.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to talk to, it's tough to watch. I used to tell my guys back in the days when everybody had to pay to come and see us play. The first thing I used to say, people come and pay money to watch you play. So let's go out and be the show. Let's don't go out and get embarrassed and people paying their hard-earned money to come watch you play. So my expectation was always to be the show and have my guys be the show. And we're just not performing. As I always said, I talked to John about it before. Those 3 Ps comes up every time. You got to prepare, you got to practice, and you must perform. And they're not doing those things. They're not even competing. I always say there's 3 ways of winning: competing, and then you learn how to win, and then you win the games that you shouldn't be winning. And those are the difference when you're building your team. And I don't know if it has to do with anything with the coach. Everybody talking about, well, they home and on the road. John, I think probably one of you can look and see what was the teams that were playing at home compared to the teams that were playing on the road. Maybe that might be a little different. But my thing is the Giants have never been an outstanding home team. Over the years, a home team where they have home team advantage. I looked it up. I can't remember how many years I went back, but I went back, I think it was 2000. I think they were like 76 and 78.
Yeah, since MetLife Stadium, it has not been a great home field advantage. But I will ask you this, though, Coach. All right, the Minnesota game was the Minnesota game. And, again, I've always told people week one's an aberration anyway. But that game and this game are the two that really get under your craw because, they were really hammered but they competed in all of the other games. I mean,
Yeah,
there were
they did.
mistakes as to why they lost, but to take your term, compete. The Giants have competed for Brian Daboll. They did it all last year, right to the last game of the year.
Yeah, they did. I agree with that. They fought. I think they won quite a few games at the end of the last year, and so they never really quit on him. I'm still a fan of Daboll. If you get rid of him, who you bringing in? They keep saying, "Oh, we fire him." We've been going through this over and over and over and over. We got to get off that wheel. Let the guy finish up his time. If the ownership says he should be fired, then let ownership do it. But for us to sit here and say he should be fired, we're on that wheel, and we just keep turning the wheel over and over again. One of my favorite callers, Lynn, was talking today about the play calling. I mean, I had a playbook that was mine. All those playbooks were mine, but I never called the plays. I got someone that can relate to what I'm saying, and we will always be talking. In high school, I'm talking on the phone, and in the youth, I'm standing right next to my coordinators, and as they're running the plays, that gave me a chance to evaluate what was going on in the game. Because when you call plays, you look at the play, then you're trying to set up another play. It's an art. It's not something you just pick a play and that's the play it's going to be. It's an art to play calling. If you look at the best play callers, there's an art to it. They're setting you up for something.
Yeah, no,
And
you're
they're
right.
not just picking plays off out of their hat and say, "Oh, let's run a reverse. Oh, let's do this. Let's run up the middle." They're not doing that. That's not happening. These guys are well educated in this sport. But sometimes play callers, some are better than others. So for me, and I can't speak for Daboll because he's a play caller. For me, I can evaluate. I can see what's happening to my offense more clearly than when I'm calling plays. Because I'm always looking down. I'm calling the play, and I'm looking down. Okay, if we do this, what play I want to come up with if we get through. So if we get the play, okay, I got to go with it. It's just too much thinking going on when you play calling. So my experience was let them call the plays, and as they go along, I'm communicating with them. Hey, you got to get that ball outside. You're running inside, you got to get it outside. They all collapsing inside. Maybe you can hit the edges. Oh, look, the tight end. You can get that tight end down the seams because those linebackers are coming forward. Call this play. And I will always give my opinions here and there in those games. And maybe that's what Daboll maybe can think about doing. But if he want to call the plays, it's his team and it's his ship, and he's going to go down with it. So
all right, Coach.
Letting us do it.
Thank you,
All
Cole.
right, guys.
Appreciate the call, Coach. Appreciate it, man. You guys, look, I don't see that changing, and I don't think that's even close to the first reason why the Giants have had issues this year, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think so either. We were simply trying to address Len's inquiry.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, I think the one issue that everybody needs to remind themselves of if they are questioning the plays is that the Giants' level of execution on a lot of these plays has not been very good.
No, especially the last 2 weeks.
And you have to take that into consideration when you're thumbing through your play card. You have to understand that, okay, well, can we do this? Or what's the evidence telling you?
Like the one play everyone's putting online, and Darius Slayton's wide open over the middle. It's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to blame Slayton for the drop or Jones for throwing it behind him or the offensive line for allowing a little bit of pressure on the play, I don't care. I don't care whoever you want to point the finger at. You know who's not the fault of that play is? The play caller.
Right.
The play designer or the head coach.
Precisely.
It's wide open.
It has nothing to do with him.
Wide open.
I know. That's why everything that you ask or everything that you try to point a finger at, you have to take a step back first and try to put it in its proper context and understand everything around it. And then once you do that, okay, now maybe you think better of the question or better of the comment, because then you realize, oh, you know what? It was a good play. They just didn't make it work.
And there's been too much of that the last 2 weeks.
There has been. I agree.
And for much of the season. I mean, it's just... I already shut my computer down. What are they probably at? Like after 3 points last week, it's got to be under 15 points a game now for the year.
I'm sure it probably is. Yeah, I'm sure it probably is.
I mean, it just you can't win games that way.
No. No.
Paul, see you on Friday.
Yeah, you got it, John.
I'll be back with Matthew Sytak tomorrow at 12:30 for another episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. Download Giants TV, our official streaming app. All your smart TVs, Giants.com has it as well. The Giants app has all of our programming, game highlights, all that stuff. Go check it out. For Paul Dottino, I'm John Schmeelk. We'll see you next time on Giants.com.